Paul Bennett from Medallion Metals. Thank you so much for joining us in Melbourne today. I'm really thrilled that you're coming to the Lion AGM this afternoon, and really looking forward to introducing you to our shareholders and hearing you talk to them about what you're doing. What I thought we'd do now is record a quick video that captures what Medallion is, why it's special, and we can tell that to the world, not just our own shareholders. So I wanted to touch on a couple of things, but start with why Lion invested. This is actually a unique situation in that your project, it's the second time that we've invested in that project, and this is the only time we've ever gone second time around. So I think we could say we understand the value which is inherent there. I think our timing the first time around just was not ideal. Feels much better this time, particularly because the investment we've made has been performing quite well. What that boils down to is a really novel deal that you've done to take a deposit which is in the ground and link that to an existing process facility, which probably shortcuts many things. But let's start with some basics. What you've got at Thorp on the south coast of WA, how much metal and what grade? What's sitting in the ground there, Paul?
Yeah, well, so the base foundational asset of the business, and this is probably what attracted Lion's attention, it's certainly what attracted our attention when we first invested in the business, was the mineral resource at Thorp. It's 5.7 million tonnes at present at 4.6 grams gold for 840,000 ounces of gold contained. And then there's a significant copper credit there, 0.6, which is another 37,000 tonnes of copper metal there as well. In addition to that, that's the sulphide mineral resource. There's another 240,000 ounces at 1.8 grams sitting in the oxide in the transitional zone. Now, at this point in time, we view that as a growth option for the business. But importantly, all of that metal is on granted mining leases. It's clear from a heritage perspective, and we will have environmental permits imminently. So that then creates the circumstance whereby that metal can be commercialised.
Yep, you can take it out of the ground in not too long, hopefully.
That's exactly right.
So just run me through, how much of the metal do you think you can extract under your current plan? We don't have to wave our arms too much at this stage. And how does that vary? Because there had been another plan initially, and now having a process facility, you can match a mine plan to that. So what do you think you're going to be pulling out of the ground in order to feed to this plant that you've got your hands on?
So of the 840,000 ounces, and think about the copper proportional to that, there'll be 50 to 60% of that will come out in this mine plan that'll be part of the feasibility study in the next couple of weeks. And then the copper will come with that. As a comparison, we were previously looking at a standalone development scenario for approximately 800,000 ounces of the oxide, the transitional and the sulphide. It was a big development, big capital ticket, a lot of clearing had to take place, so that meant permitting milestones. But by focusing on the sulphide component of the mineral resource, what we've done is compress the amount of money, the amount of time that we need to overcome to get to first production.
Yep. So it sounds like a pathway which is not only a bit quicker, but it's also simplified as far as regulatory risk and things like that.
Definitely. Yep. So we go from 250 hectares of native veg clearing down to 60 or 70. And this is really an exercise in optimising for project returns as opposed to NPV. So it's getting to the value as quickly as possible.
Very attractive in the current gold price environment because the producers are absolutely minting it. So to go from having ore in the ground to wanting to make cash out of it and to be able to do that quickly and efficiently, it's a marvellous plan. Let's just talk about that plan then. So you're mating an existing deposit with a process facility, which old nickel process facility, not being used for nickel anymore. It's going to need some reconfiguration, but are we talking about, sometimes when people come in with a process plant, they're like, I can use that. Do you have to demolish it and start again, or is this a modest restoration? What are we talking?
It's a modest, there's some restoration, but principally it's a modification. So the Forestania, or the Cosmic Boy concentrator, is a sulphide flotation plant. And we have a copper and gold deposit. A direct analogy for Volt's Deflector project, if anyone knows that asset. So flotation is the first step to get the copper out into a concentrate, and some of the precious metals go with that con, and then we leach the float tail at the back end to make doré. Now that Cosmic Boy plant is exactly configured for the first step of that process: crush, grind, flotation. And then what we're doing is building a leach plant at the back end to clean up the tail, to get the rest of the gold and the silver out and make that doré. It's the only modification that we're planning to make. So it's remarkable how that nickel plant was so well suited to treat that gold copper ore at Ravensthorpe that's located 100 kilometres away as the crow flies. And that was one of the remarkable synergies about this transaction.
Which was possibly one of the blockages in the past, because the presence of copper meant you needed to build flotation and leaching. And that was probably one of the things that added capex and made it that big ticket that you were talking about before. And now all of a sudden you find a plant which is apparently so well suited, and you're in business not only faster, but with something which is, you know, really quite fit for purpose, with limited modifications required.
That's right.
Yeah. You're a mining engineer. You've got a banking background. So this piece of pulling together mine with process facility and the funding that goes with it, I think is all very well within your remit. But I want to make you uncomfortable for a while, because you're picking up some tenure that comes with this nickel process facility as well. It's been explored for nickel for 20 plus years, which means there's a hell of a lot of data on it, right? What do you think about the gold potential of this? It's a gold belt. It's just been known as a nickel belt for a long time. Yeah,
it's been forgotten about, and you can understand that. That belt is fertile for nickel deposits, as Western Areas and IGO have demonstrated. But the gold element, preceding all of that, was a history as a gold field, and it threw up a significant deposit in Bounty, which produced almost 1.3 million ounces at 5 grams. That's mined principally from underground. So the Forestania Greenstone Belt, which that tenement package straddles, is fertile for big gold deposits, and there is a huge amount of data there. Now, there's a significant gold drilling database there, but there's also a large geochemical and geophysical data set that stretches from one end of that belt to the other. There's a number of gold deposits in the WAMEX database, drill holes that haven't been assayed for gold. So we think that it's an extremely fertile gold district, which is going to take us some time to systematically work through all of that data. However, when you've got a 5 or 6 year mine life at Ravensthorpe that we fully expect will extend, then that gives us the runway to do that work and develop those opportunities that are existing there at Forestania.
Yep. So 2026 looks pretty exciting. I mean, the gold price is up. That's wind in your sails. You've got a process plant. You don't need to build one, and you don't need to permit a place to get rid of your tailings. Massive tick compared to a lot of your competitors and colleagues in the space. And you're progressing so quickly. So give us a snapshot. What do you think you'll look like at the end of 2026?
Yeah, 2026. So mining is the critical path. The plant is established, as we've identified, minor modifications, but that's not really where the key part of the process is. It's all about getting that underground development established. We expect that we'll kick that off in the early part of the second quarter of calendar 2026. And then first ore will definitely be, we'll be seeing first ore out of the mine in the final quarter of 2026, and then rolling into commercial production in early part of 2027, and targeting that 75 to 80,000 ounce per annum run rate on a gold equivalent basis.
Yep. What a runway. This is one of Lion's better performing investments, and it's also one of our most mature. So we can't wait to be shareholders in a gold mining and copper mining company. And this is a lot closer than we thought it would be when we first invested in this project long ago. This has come about very quickly. I think it's caught a lot of people in the market by surprise. So, Paul, all the best for 2026, and we're so pleased to be along for the ride.
Thanks, Hedley.
Good on you, mate.
Good on you.